3 students left dead after a Michigan State University shooting. The connection the suspect has with the school.
And the space balloon that was shot down earlier this month. But more objects are taking its place. What this means for the United States.
Rihanna performs at the Super Bowl halftime show. We have the latest reactions. The cut starts right now. Hello and welcome to the Cut Network. I'm Leslie Chapman.
And I'm Denson Cortez. 3 Michigan State University students are dead and 5 more are injured after a school shooting on campus Monday night. Now an investigation is underway into how this could have happened. This was first reported around 8:30 p.m. on Michigan State University's East Lansing campus. As you can tell from that video, many looked for shelter in their dorms. Shots were fired at both Berkeley Hall, which is an academic building, and the MSU Union, which is a popular lounge and hangout spot for students. Police have found the suspect and say he has killed himself. He had no affiliation to the university, and authorities do not know if this is what happened. This is the 67th mass shooting in the United States this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. The shooting also came on the eve of the 5-year mark since the Valentine's Day shooting in Parkland, Florida. Now, after finding a balloon, supposedly from China earlier this month, the United States discovered not 1, not 2, but 3 more mystery objects over the United States this past weekend. Ashley Oriana is here to give us an update on what this seems for the United States. And Ashley, it appears that the United States is backtracking some of its previous comments.
Thanks, Denson. Indeed, those sky balloons, as they've been called, are taking the world by storm. This all started earlier this month when a weather-like balloon was seen floating over the skies of Montana. U.S. officials discovered the balloon on February 1st and began tracking it. The balloon then mysteriously floated to the East Coast at a rapid pace before the U.S. shot it down off the coast of South Carolina. Then over the last weekend, 3 more mysterious objects have popped up. The U.S. shot them all, the first one in Alaska, the second one in the Canadian airspace, and the third over the Great Lakes region. The Department of Defense has not confirmed that these last 3 sightings are indeed balloons, but many world leaders are on alert. Initially, many blamed China for these sightings, but the U.S. has now backtracked and said these objects are not controlled by China or their military. Nevertheless, the National Council and NORAD are now working in conjunction with Canada to make sure that these things are avoided.
In light of the Chinese balloon program and this recent incursion into our airspace, the United States and Canada, through NORAD, have been more closely scrutinizing that airspace, including enhancing our radar capabilities, which, as the commander of NORTHCOM and NORAD, General Van Herk, said just last night, may at least partially explain the increase in the objects that have been detected.
More details are even emerging about the U.S. and their last operation over Lake Huron. It turns out that the U.S. fighter jet balloon over the Great Lakes region actually missed at first and required a second missile launch. It seems popping the balloon may be harder than you think. Denson, back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. I hope we don't have any unidentified objects flying over Phoenix anytime soon.
Earlier this month, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Turkey, creating mass destruction and causing 36,000 deaths. Today, Cut reporter Alana Goodman brings us an update regarding the situation. And Alana, we are hearing there may be signs of hope.
Yes, Leslie, the search is still underway for bodies after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit between the border of Syria and Turkey earlier this month. 36,000 people were killed in the earthquake and 19,000 people are currently hospitalized with injuries. This earthquake was extremely strong, taking down many properties and buildings that were advertised as earthquake-proof. And many people who did survive have been evacuated from their homes, leaving 1.7 million people who are either in refugee camps or tents. Many have also been separated from their families, and more than 1,300 people are missing. The United Nations is on the ground there providing aid and relief. So is this World Central Kitchen.
I've been in the mountains. At night, the temperature, for everybody to understand, is being under 10, under 20 Celsius degrees. This is why right now everybody doing food, especially at night, you try to make sure that you don't only do food to cover those needs, but that the food is hot, like soups.
Even though it has been days since the quake hit, there are signs of hope. This is the video of people being extracted from the quake 198 hours after it struck. 2 people were extracted from this building. Both happened to be teenagers, but time continues to dwindle for the remaining survivors. For The Cut, I'm Alana Goodman. Back to you, Leslie.
Thank you, Alana. Great to hear this inspirational story of survival.
In a developing story, an Atlanta judge has ordered the partial release of the jury's report from the 2020 election investigation concerning Donald Trump. Fulton County DA Fani Willis is creating a grand jury to look into former President Donald Trump and his allies. Trump and his allies have been accused of trying to overturn the election loss to President Biden in 2020 in the state of Georgia. That judge ruled that the report's introduction, conclusion, and an express concern section, where jurors may have lied under oath, can be made public. The release could be made as soon as tomorrow.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is being investigated for allegedly storing away money that was supposed to be used for, quote, charitable works, but allegedly may be used for other purposes. Cut reporter Carly Poyer is here to give us more information on what their true intentions may have been. Carly?
Thank you, Leslie. Last Friday, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints went under federal investigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission agency for allegedly storing $100 billion away in a portfolio for, quote, the second coming of Christ, end quote. The investigation comes after whistleblower David and Lars Nielsen sent a 74-page document to the IRS in late 2019. David Nielsen is a former portfolio manager at Inside Peak Advisors, an investment arm of the LDS Church, and initially filed a complaint in hopes to strip Ensign of its religious tax-exempt status. The complaint comes from the portfolio allegedly being collected for a tax-free charitable fund, which David states none of the money had been used for any charitable works in the last 20 years. Along with the documents provided by Lars, David claims that the money is from church leaders tithing their 16 million parishioners 10% of their yearly income. The Nielsen complaint calculated that would amount to roughly $77 billion annually, with $1 billion being stored away at Ensign each year. However, LDS financial historian D. Michael Quinn says that estimate is too low for tithing and that it's more likely $35 billion annually. Officially, the LDS Church reports only spending $2.2 billion since 1985. According to Forbes, the SEC's probe is said to be at an advanced stage and most likely to result in a settlement within the coming months. For the Cut Network, I'm Carly Poyer.
Thank you, Carly. We will keep you posted with any updates from the investigation.
New Mexico State University has canceled the remainder of its men's basketball season after 3 players allegedly hazed a teammate. A police report obtained by multiple outlets, including ESPN, cited 3 players for false imprisonment, harassment, and counts of sexual contact against a teammate. The report also redacted the names of the players involved, according to the victim. Incidents have been going on since last July or August, and an inappropriate physical and sexual touching by his teammates had been occurred in the locker room and on road trips. New Mexico State was 9-15 and 2-10 in the Western Athletic Conference.
The Super Bowl is now out of Phoenix, but it left its mark here. This includes a new garden meant to promote sustainability. Cut reporter Gadiel Navarte took a trip to the park to see what it was all about.
With the Super Bowl coming to Arizona, Phoenix will be seeing a glow up in its downtown area with Republic Services Incorporated and the City of Phoenix unveiling a sustainable garden at Margaret T. Hans Park in its latest efforts to revitalize the park and its surrounding areas. Mayor Kate Gallego expressed their joy and said that this would bring more visitors to the downtown area of Phoenix during the Super Bowl week and in the future as well.
Our downtown is a very special area. 90,000 people reside in within 1 mile of downtown. As a population center, it would be the 13th largest city in the state of Arizona. This garden and overall park are going to be incredibly busy.
While there is still some construction, the park continues to have visitors. Rick Neymark, neighbor and member of the Hans Park Conservancy Board, says that the investment in the park will benefit everyone.
You know, it's just going to add to the revitalization of the park, bring more people here, serve them in different ways, and continue to have this be the crown jewel of Central Phoenix.
The Super Bowl is expected to bring a great number of visitors and nearly $600 million to the valley. Reporting live from Phoenix, I'm Gadiel Navarrete, The Cut Network.
Super Bowl 57 here in Arizona concluded over the weekend with the Kansas City Chiefs reigning supreme over the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. This Super Bowl did not disappoint. This was an offensive shootout like we expected, and the first Super Bowl in NFL history where both teams scored at least 35 points, even with slippery field conditions. But a key play towards the end of the game is what's being talked about. On 3rd and 8 with 1:54 left in the fourth quarter, a passing interference call on Philadelphia costed them the game, setting up Kansas City for a field goal to win it. Cornerback James Bradbury admitted the hold in a press conference, but fans believe it was a ticky-tack call. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Chiefs, took home Super Bowl MVP, making him the first since Kurt Warner in 1999 to win regular and Super Bowl MVP. Play towards the end was the Super Bowl with Kansas City, wins its second Super Bowl in 4 years. As you can see from this video, fans went crazy at the end of the game.
If you haven't seen Rihanna's Super Bowl 57 halftime show, where have you been? Dressed in an all-red jumpsuit, Rihanna performed 12 of her hits in just 13 minutes, including Work, Umbrella, and Only Girl in the World. Rihanna was accompanied by dozens of dancers dressed in all white, including some on floating platforms. Even Rihanna was on one for part of the performance. But the biggest surprise of Rihanna's Super Bowl performance, it isn't that she performed solo, but instead she revealed that she is pregnant with her second child. Personally, I believe this is one of the best Super Bowl halftime performances I've ever seen, and Riri absolutely shined bright like a diamond.
Indeed she did. In video game news, Harry Potter fans are excited as ever after Hogwarts Legacy released on February 10th. The game was released on next-gen consoles. After multiple delays, players can experience student life at Hogwarts by casting spells and getting sorted into 4 houses. The game is already the #1 game of the week and is the biggest launch for any Harry Potter game. Sales are at 64% higher than the previous game released in 2001. Harry Potter is the 26th biggest video game franchise in the United Kingdom and is expected to hover at the top of the charts for weeks to come.
Thanks for joining us this week. Stay tuned for the latest by checking out our YouTube at The Cut Network.
You can also follow us on Twitter at The Cut ASU, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram where we put together a special behind-the-scenes look of our show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Denson Cortez.
And I'm Leslie Chapman. Have a good night.